streaming. Shut up, home.
Speaking of
streaming.
Like mine on.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? We are live here at Houston DJ Pros blog. Today we have a very special program for you guys. We are going to be talking to planner / decorator / she does a little bit of everything in the wedding business and private parties. So we're going to be interviewing her. Before we start, we're going to allow you guys to start sharing the stream. If you're going to be watching, comment and participate. She's going to be here to answer all your questions, whether you're a DJ and want to network with a wedding planner or wedding coordinator, event planner, or if you're a bride that is looking for a wedding planner and have some questions, this is going to be your opportunity to watch them. My name is Frank Perez with Elegante Entertainment, and always here with me,
Herman Aguilar from Excellence Entertainment.
So let's go ahead and present her. Her name is Evie Barajas from Evie Event Designs. Welcome, Evie. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good.
So how's your day going so far?
It's good. I have a full day plan of things I need to do.
It's a busy week, huh?
Yeah, busy week. Lots of events.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit, a synopsis of what you do. What is Evie's main service, main focus?
So my company is Evangeline Event Designs. So I offer full event design. So I come up with the concept and help the client put together everything that they need for an event. So as far as linens, decor, centerpieces, all that.
So you cover a wide
yeah,
aspect.
so it's pretty much a whole range.
All in one, pretty much, as far as decorations, planning and organizing and getting them ideas to work with.
Correct.
Okay, cool. And what are your bigger events right now? Like, what are you focusing on, or do you have a focus, or you're trying to capture?
So right now, I used to do a lot of weddings. So that was usually what I knew, nothing but weddings. And now I'm doing a lot of more birthday parties. One of the big things that I have going on, I have a launch party for a website called Meraki YU, which is a Colombian handbag company, which I'm going to be launching next Sunday in New York. So that's something
nice.
Very big for me and for Meraki YU. So we're launching that. That's very exciting. And so that's one of the big events going on right now.
Cool. That's taking up your time.
Yes. And it's stressing me out.
Well,
so we all get stressed.
If you're not stressed, then you're not doing something good, right?
Right?
Yeah, that's usually how it is. Okay. So we'll cover that one in a little bit. Tell us about weddings and what were your main what did you like to do? Because I know you cover a little bit. You said linens, you did decorations, you also do the planning and
coordinating and planning,
all that. So if somebody wanted to plan a wedding, you don't just do the wedding, you do the decorations, you do everything.
Correct.
But you work on ideas because you're pretty creative, right?
Yeah, I think so.
No, that's how you work. We'll put some pictures up here of your work so they can see what we're talking about.
Exactly.
But you do all that decorating and then coming up with the concepts. And so how does it work? Does a person come up to you and say, "Hey, Evie, I need you to decorate my wedding," pretty much take control?
So it just depends. There's different type of clients. There's clients that are more into DIY, so they like to do a little things themselves. And there's some clients that just come to me and they're like, "Hey, take it over, do whatever you want." So I guess I like both of them, because with the DIY client, I get to know what they really like. They give me more information. As far as a client who's just like, take it over, you don't know what to expect because they're letting you take over the event.
So does that make you a little scared that you're going to be like...
Yeah, it's more pressure on the ones that let me do whatever I want. Because even though they see my work, they know what I do, it's still nerve-wracking.
Has a certain idea, and if you don't match that idea with the first two concepts, then you start like...
then you start freaking out. You're like, wait, you said to do what I waned. What happened here? And I've had clients
a lot of times is the case.
I start one concept and I pour my work and heart and soul to it, and they're like, "Oh no, can we just go to a different direction?" I'm like, "Okay, we can do it." And I think with time I've learned to be very patient with that kind of client, but it takes a lot of work too in both and when I sit down and I talk to a client, I definitely let them know this is a process.
Okay.
And so we both have to do our work. You have to let me know what you want, what your dislikes and your likes are, so I can know what I have to work with or what I should present to you. Okay. So when I start working with a client, I like to be really
But you ask a lot of questions to try to get the style that they're going for. If it's a modern, if it's a what I guess antique, rustic.
Because every client is different. Every client is different in their own way, and whatever is in trend might not be their style at the moment. Even though you see it everywhere, there's clients that might not like it.
They want to stay away from that.
They want to stay away from that. Like I've had clients that come to me and they're like, no rustic, no chic, like none of that. They want pure elegant, and that's what we try to give them. We try, or if we don't have it, I like to pair myself up with different vendors who. If I can't provide the service, then they definitely can provide it.
Oh, wow, amazing.
Leads us to our next question. How does one go about working with you? If you're a DJ or photographer, a photo booth, or do you recommend people? Like, do you you do? Okay. So how would somebody reach out, or what are your criteria for working with somebody? What would you say would be like?
I definitely look at their experience. I think that, look into another vendor's experience and their reviews, definitely. But most importantly, their customer service. Okay. I feel like that's one of my main things in my business. So
define customer service for us. What you look for?
Like basically somebody that is willing to help the client, not just help themselves as a business, because at the end of the day, you have to think about the client, what the client wants. Okay. And a person that's willing to be patient enough to deal with certain situations, I think that says a lot about a vendor. Of course, there are situations that can get out of control, that I understand that, a vendor, at the end of the day, this is our livelihood, this is our job, so we have to stand up for ourselves, because we are human beings at the end of the day, and we make mistakes, so things happen. But I mean, I guess what I look into a vendor is just somebody that's willing to work both ways. Okay. It's a system that goes both ways, not just whatever's beneficial to the business because that's what they're trying to grow or make most money off. But if you really look into what the client really needs, not just kind of throwing out there, oh, just get this because this is what I have, which in most cases it's good, because as businesses we need to think that way. We need to get out what we have already and not invest so much. But at the same time, we have to think about what the client wants and what the client needs. For sure. And so that's one of the big things. All right. So if you see somebody at an event, let's say I work an event with you, you kind of like what I see, but I don't know that. What would be a suggestion for me as a DJ to say, hey, Evie, I want to work with you? I mean, is it just that easy, or do you also got to be some sort of personal connection, maybe? I think communication is so just start out communicating. It definitely, I guess at every event's like a trial run. If that's the first time you work with somebody, or if that's the first time that you have met that person, give yourself another chance. If you like what you saw, if you like that, that particular DJ did a good job, then give him another chance and then continue doing it. From there on, you can see if that's going to be a person that's going to be your go-to person, or you definitely look just by one event, right? No, you can't judge by one event. You have to do multiples, but then you also have to think about it. Not every client is going to agree with you, and not every client is going to get along with that particular person. So you have to have more than one person to work with. Definitely. I mean, I do have my favorites, but I mean, he knows. That's why he says thank you.
Oh, for real? Oh, really? Remember?
Oh, thank you for that then.
No, like when I called you for the last event that I had for the lawyer, I called you because I know that when I need a vendor that's gonna come through, I know who to call. And I think that that's the most important thing. As a business owner, you need to have those people around you that are willing to support you as well. That they're willing to work with you, because at the end of the day, we're both running a business. We're both trying to succeed, and that's the main goal. For sure. Cool. Yeah, that was a fun event.
It seemed like it started a little bit stressful for you.
Okay, so that was one that the client knew what he wanted.
Okay.
He was very particular. But I like that.
Yeah.
And in that situation,
but it was a fun experience.
It was a fun experience. Things didn't get out of control. I mean, at the beginning, he was a little bit, because he was excited. He was nervous.
The other thing is that they're not used to the process of an event, like the setup and all that. Mm-hmm. And every once in a while I might run a little bit late, but it's just part of it, especially when we had like an hour to set up.
Yes, so we were in a time crunch. We had an hour to set up,
so
and
you got things going
4 different
here,
vendors.
Over here, I'm asking you, where do I go? And then everybody's asking you, like, and your head's probably spinning like,
yeah, you're thinking all different ways. And at that moment, you have to handle the situation.
You have to stay under control and
So it was fun. At the end of the night, it was
a learning experience. It was fun, and I think he had a good time that day.
He did. He came to me at the end, and he's like, "I know I overreacted a little bit." I was like, "A little,
a little."
But those are the connections that you make, because now with him, I actually have a connection because I was able to handle the situation. And he's like, he wants to do more events with me. So that's where you kind of create connections between not just vendors, but your clients. Definitely. So that's definitely a good thing.
Cool. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Wow.
Wow. You left me thinking. But no, I mean, of that event. What about like the easy events? Those come easy. What would make it an easy event? I guess. I mean, usually something happens, right? There's no such. There's
no perfection. Yeah. As much as you try to have everything in detail, you have even as a coordinator, as a planner, even when we have timelines, we have lists. Yeah. Something can go wrong, and you just have to always have in the back of your mind that you have to have a plan B. That's just the nature. As much as you try to have everything perfect, something might not work out. I mean, sometimes even my ideas, I have them all sketched out, but when it comes down to it, to put it together, it doesn't work out that way. Right. Or the location didn't happen. For example, this past weekend, I did a wedding it's called Espuelas de Plata in Katy. Yeah. And it's like what do you call it? Like it's an outdoor, but it's like what do you call it?
Palenque?
It's a palenque. Yeah. So it's huge, and so I did it inside the rueda, inside the
arena.
The arena.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did inside
the segmented area.
No, it was inside the arena. So it was set up for 550 people.
Wow.
And I created the whole concept. I created everything. I did a whole layout of what the event should have looked like. Through the whole planning process, there was no event on Friday. They tell us Tuesday that there was going to be an event on Friday. So that threw everything for a loop. The stage took about 12 hours just to create a stage. I mean, that was a magnitude of a stage. But when I get there in the morning, the stage, the platform hadn't even started to be created.
Oh my God.
So at that point, I was there at 7 a.m. and they still couldn't get it done. They told me it was going to take about another 5 hours. So that threw the whole layout out of control because I had to come up with ways to work on everything
on the fly,
on the spot, and making sure that I had everything ready to go and not counting that space that the stage was taking up. But it turned out beautiful. I mean, everything.
So let me interrupt you one quick because I think a lot of people miss that point. If you don't get a planner to do that, what's going to happen?
Chaos.
They're gonna get to the event. So what time did the guests
the guests were scheduled to
what I'm trying to get to is the people that are like, let's say I have a party, or the bride and groom. What was it, a quinceañera wedding?
It was a wedding.
Okay, so what time did the bride and groom's family arrive to set up their things?
So they didn't get there to set up anything. I did the full setup
because they trusted you.
They trusted me with that service. But if it would have
been like a DIY, what time would the people be getting there?
I mean, to be honest with you, I think they should have got there at 6 a.m.
Yeah, but they got other things going on. They got hair,
they got
makeup,
they have
so it's pretty much impossible. If they wouldn't have gotten you, that day would have been.
It would have been chaos.
Because they would have gotten there and there was no stage.
No.
And they would have been like, what happened?
So then, not only was there no stage, there was the big trucks that were unloading all the equipment for the band and everything. They were inside in the middle of where the dance floor needed to be. So we had no space to even move stuff around. Wow. So it was... even though sometimes I understand, when people plan a party, there's a budget. And of course, you have to think of your numbers, not, we're not Kim Kardashian. We can't have those big expensive weddings. Right. So we need to think about the bottom line. But you actually, what I tell my clients, you have to think about what's realistic. Yeah. Can you do it? Even though people are telling you, I will help you, I'm going to be there. Trust me, at the end of the day, it's not their event and they're not going to show up. No. Because it's not as important.
No. You get that a lot, right?
You get that a lot.
There, so-and-so's going to help you.
Yeah, it happens.
They probably do it with a good intention, but the day of, their
mind goes somewhere else, and
and they still got to do their own stuff.
They have to do their own stuff, and that becomes more important to them at that moment because they're not thinking what the bride needs. They're not thinking of how stressed the mother of the bride or the mother of the groom are. They're thinking about what they need to get done and where they need to go. And so those people that you were counting on, they're not there.
All of a sudden, maybe out of 10. 2, 3 show up.
Even if you're lucky.
Right?
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
I'm being optimistic here.
I come from a very helpful Hispanic family. And even at that, sometimes I struggle to get them all together to come and help. Yeah. And even for my business. So it's just imagine an event that they're not getting paid for to do it.
Yeah, it's like the last thing in their head. They probably even forget about it. They probably forget about it. Oh,
that is true.
Me pasó esto and I have to go do that. And
yeah, like for example, this wedding, the desserts they were set up when the wedding had already started, and that person that she was counting on to get it all together ended up bailing at the last minute, and it was like one thing after another. God. But one of the things that the bride, the mom of the bride, she called me early in the morning, and she was freaking out. Of course, there's these big old trucks in the middle of the arena. What do I do? And at that moment, I told her, you know what, just keep on going, and you can't let the bride know. You just can't let her know. True. You have to keep her, as much as we hate to do it, can't let her know what's going on because we have to, work on it.
It has to be perfect, regardless of what's going on. So, and she did call me. She called me on Sunday to thank me and to let me know that even though I changed the layout, even though I changed things around, it's not
her wedding. She's like, you made my dream come true. And so that was worth it.
So that part of that is the communication that you had with her beforehand.
Correct.
Understanding ideas, and then by understanding those ideas, you can say, you get a better understanding of, okay, maybe I can do it this way that'll still kind of work with her ideas, and then keep it to where she's still going to be happy, even though it's not 100% what she wanted.
Yes, so I kept it realistic throughout the whole process. When we were working on the layout, when we were working on the design, I kept telling her, like, if this can work, this might not work. It just depends on where we're at with everything. But it did. It worked out perfectly. I'm very lucky to have people within, my family helps me with everything. But my staff too, they come up with ideas because they know that I can't just think of everything on my own. As I'm sitting there, I have to think of every little detail, and they actually help me do it as well. So that's another thing, that if I'm working with people that I trust and they're trusting me to do it, so that's where I have to be realistic and tell her, like, this is how much staff we need, this is how much people I need to bring, and so you need to be prepared for that. Now, if you are willing to send your family, just make sure they're there. If they're not, then things are going to get...
It's usually like a red flag when you hear, oh, my family's going to be there. There's more of a red flag than a relief, right?
It is. Because then you're like, oh, I have to get there earlier to make sure it gets done. But it works out. I mean, it does. It's fun.
So as far as budget goes, whenever they give you a budget, you pretty much tell them it's going to go pretty much, right? How do you handle that? Let's say I have a $10,000 budget for my wedding. And I have, let's make it realistic, 100 people. It might be realistic. You have to find the venue. You have to find the thing. But what about, how do you handle the part where they might go over budget?
I definitely tell them that this is, we have, like I said.
Depending on the situation, right?
Depending on the situation. If they're, and keeping everything, all the numbers to reflect what they're wanting. Now, what I do is I give them exactly what they want. I show them what it is, and I show how much it's going to cost them. Now, it's up to them to make the decision. Is it worth it, or can they go without having certain things? And that's when you start. But I think that's the most important thing. You have to show them the real number from the very beginning, so they know what it's going to cost. If you don't do that, then if you start adding after the fact, then they start getting scared.
Okay.
That makes it more nerve-wracking than if you actually started with the highest number and then start going down.
Because then it feels like they're out of control. And
they're out of control, correct.
It's going to be like through the roof, and they're going to get a second and third mortgage on the house they don't have.
Yeah, it becomes, I mean, I even get nervous sometimes when I send these big proposals, but I tell them, this is what you're wanting.
So open up their mind.
Opening up what it's actually going to cost and what is realistic.
If you have a $10,000 budget for a $30,000 wedding, then you got to realize.
There's some things that have to go.
That's a big window right there.
That's a big window. There's a big gap, and you have to
get rid of some decorations or some guests.
Or something, something has to give, but you definitely have to work around it, and that's what I do, and I've learned how to do that, to give them the biggest number and go down. I feel like when you give them a small number, it doesn't give them a realistic idea of what they're actually getting themselves into, because you have to think about it. This goes both ways, as a client and as a vendor and as a client, because the client's going to pay you. And if you didn't charge for those services, at the end of the day, if you have to get extra staff, you have to, buy extra additional things that you don't have, then it comes out of your pocket. So then where's the benefit in that? Yeah, that's not, I mean, you are trying to please the client, but you have to think about yourself too. Like, is this really working?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like basically if you are actually giving up your time and items, it's like working for free.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody likes working for free. As much as we like what we do, we don't like.
Yeah, exactly. But you still, I mean, you're spending your time. I mean, like you could be somewhere else making more money.
Correct. Yeah, that is true.
Unfortunately, but
experience, like everything.
It is.
Man, that's crazy. There's a lot of stuff going on. We have Karina says, "Awesome that you're having a coordinator. Bet she have the best advices." Yeah,
I hope so. I hope I don't scare them.
How long have you been doing those?
Weddings. I've been doing weddings and events for about 9 years.
Okay, 9 years.
Yeah. So I started helping set up it's the background. I started as the staff, like setting up linens, doing that, helping at another company, which is Linens and Decor. And that's where I learned a lot of things. And after that, I started working at the Gates on Main Street. And that's when I learned more into what it's
expanding into learning other things,
coordinating and the back end of what it is to put together an event. So I got a lot of experience from there. I learned a lot. And after that, I saw myself designing events because I think, I like making things look pretty. So that's one thing that kind of led me to wanting to do Evangeline Event Designs.
Awesome. And let's get away from weddings and what would you say? So you do also like birthday parties. I've seen a few, what do you call, baby showers in your...
Yes, baby showers.
And then you were talking about the New York. What would you classify that New York experience as? Like corporate event or just... what would
so the New York...
just the word New York, it's like
I know it was right? When I thought about it, I didn't think it through. I'll be honest with you.
Really?
I jumped in and I was like, wait, I'm more nervous than I thought. Like it's nerve-wracking thinking about it, but I'm excited. I'm excited for what that's gonna do for my business. I'm excited what the doors are gonna open, but that itself is gonna be a new concept to my business. For a lot of other things that I'm doing within my personal, not more personal, but that has to do with the business as well. So one of the things that I started doing this year is I am blogging now. So I use my personal Instagram page to inspire people, because I think that I was there at one point where I needed inspiration, I needed motivation, and so I was lucky to have one person that came along in my life, and she kind of motivated me and showed me what it was to go out and network, and that has led me to many different things. And now I'm actually part of the Houston Latina bloggers.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
And that's been very exciting. And so that opened up to a lot of different things. So now one of the things that I want to start doing is helping other businesses promote their own, like launch their own business.
Okay.
As far as it goes, their website launch. So this is what Meraki YU in New York is. We're actually doing the launch event for their website, but we want to do it for more more businesses. Before Meraki YU, we started doing it with DigiClicks, which they're developers for websites. It's a company here in Houston. But one of the reason why they're so unique, it's because they're from Colombia. So they're also from they're also from Colombia, but they get staff that works in Colombia, and so they're able to help people make more income as far as in that aspect. So that's one of the big things coming up with Meraki YU, and that's one thing we're
it's a launch party.
It's a launch party for the website, and we're hoping to do more launch parties for other businesses. So.
Awesome.
That's a whole new door for you, huh? Like
yes, a whole new concept, I guess you can call it.
Oh wow!
But I'm excited about it.
Cool. And then you mentioned blogging. You actually blog on a website, or you're just
no? I haven't actually done the blog on the website, but I blog on my Instagram. So I write up like a whole whatever I'm thinking about or I'm inspired about that day. And I've been slacking on that because I've been so busy. But
it's busy, yeah.
But that's one thing that I've been enjoying. I actually motivate myself sometimes because I start writing.
Hey, that's what you have to do, right?
And I start thinking about it. I'm like, okay, you know what? I think this also applies to me.
I can learn from this.
I can learn from it, yeah. So it's a fun experience, and just meeting other bloggers within the community. I mean, the whole Latina bloggers they have. It's been a whole experience for me. That as far as networking goes, as far as support as business, I mean, they've been very supportive.
Now, would you say you're getting out of the wedding business type, or
no?
You still
I think
like to do weddings?
Yeah, no, I think weddings are still my life.
Yeah.
When I think about it, I'll be honest with you. I'd rather take on a wedding than like maybe a birthday party. But thankfully, and God willingly, my company has been growing to where I'm actually taking 3 to 4 events a day.
Oh.
So.
Whoa, Lord.
So yeah.
How do I say no?
So I'm hoping, in the long run, my company is big enough to I'm able to do maybe 1 or 2 weddings a day. Definitely not the coordinating part. I mean, I think that's something that I try to keep very special to my client. Yeah. So if I book a client for coordinating, I'm not going to dedicate myself to anything else. Yes, I will rent out my services as far as my rentals, my backdrops, linens. I'll rent all that out, and I'll send staff to do it that already knows how to do it. But if I'm coordinating for a bride or if I'm coordinating for an event, I dedicated myself to that event.
100%.
100%.
Concentration and everything.
For everything. And it works because I've already done it a couple of times.
Oh, cool.
Oh, awesome.
So. And it's good that you have the staff that you can trust and to carry out the other events.
They were nervous at the beginning, but now they're just...
You just gotta give them
they have their own ideas and they want to do it on their own. Like, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So you're pretty easy to work with.
I think so. Yeah, I think I have an open mind, and I'm very positive. I think even when things are not, looking shiny and pretty, I have a very clear mind, and I feel like I have an open mind to where I'm not as negative. Well, I don't think negative. I try not to.
Try to stay positive most of the time.
Yeah, I try to stay positive.
Which is a good thing, though.
Yeah.
A lot of people. We got a lot of people watching, but nobody's commenting. I think they're learning a lot. So
that's good, though.
I hope I don't know annoying them.
No, not at all. Feel free to ask it if you guys are watching and you want to hear from Evie. You have a particular question. I know we got a few DJs that are watching, and we also have some people that are in the industry. Mike Mireles, Carlos, Nereo. I think they're just learning. I think it's the first time we have usually when we have a DJ, they're commenting a lot because they got DJ questions. Now they're probably observing more than.
Yeah, they already know.
They're listening to.
They're listening to everything that's going on. Yeah. So, what's your besides that big project? I mean, you have any weddings coming up that you got?
I do. I have weddings starting February. I have one event in January. It's one big event. It's for another networking association, and I'm doing that. And it's gonna be it's called the Rising Tide, and they're actually doing their national. I don't know is it national, but the way they told me it was all the nationwide. The main person is coming to Houston, and so we're trying to get all that together. We're still discussing details and seeing where the location and all that, but that's one in January, and I don't know. And then I have weddings from there on. I mean, every month there's events, so it's a good thing.
Got a first question.
Karina, I love to work out of town. I went to New York at fashion shows. Oh my God, best experience ever. And I have why Idani Ornelas? Oh my God, I love her. She has the best design ideas and makes it happen.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mike Mireles has a question as well.
Oh, okay. Mike Mireles. Oh. What are your favorite things to do?
What is your favorite theme?
My favorite thing to do, I'll be honest.
No,
Themes to do?
Uh-huh.
I don't have one.
You don't have one.
I like them all.
Your best work though? Like, let me see. Let me put your pictures up here. See if we can get some ideas. So
that was actually a collaboration between different vendors.
Okay, cool. This is somebody's wedding that I was
yes.
at.
And
that was a crazy cake, huh?
That was a magnitude of a cake.
That was your wedding.
So a lot of things that I've been doing lately, it's collaborating with different vendors and putting things together. Because when clients come to me, I'm very realistic. Like, I can't do everything myself.
Sure.
So I outsource a lot of things. That was actually for a cincoñera. We called it that.
Oh, cool.
So we
first thing, huh?
Yeah, we went all out for 5-year-old. It was a unicorn theme party, and it was very fun. It was, it was a really laid back. Nice. That's another one that I did with Como La Flor. She's actually in Pearland. She did the floral, and I did everything else, backdrop, everything.
Cool. That's the party.
That's the party. That's Luis.
Cut off his face. Let's see if I can move it.
There you go.
And some shoots.
Yes.
So Andrew Villalobos, I guess he missed the first part. Who is this and why are you interviewing her? We covered that, Andrew, in the first half. She's Evie Barajas. She's a wedding planner. If you see the scroll on the bottom, has her information and her website if you want to check her out. Mike Mireles, do you have any bad experiences working with DJs? That's the question that we're trying to get to Mike. So
I have.
No names, please. He said.
Please don't burn him. Don't burn him.
Don't burn me,
Frank. No, I'm just kidding. No. Yes, I've worked with some.
Okay. What? Let's do that, because as DJs, we don't know we're bad, or we don't know we're doing a bad job. So, what is a bad experience with a DJ? Or what
was let's say what was your bad experience?
Don't name the name, but say what the situation that happened.
Very unprofessional. And when I say unprofessional is bringing, how would I say, like they don't understand that this is an important event. Like everything you say, everything you do, everything you play, it's on video. Like these are people's lives, these are people's memories. And sometimes I've encountered DJs that they'll start playing music that was not asked to be played, because for me it's all about communication. If a bride and groom meet with you and they told you specifically don't play this type of music, and a guest comes and asks you and you do it anyways, that to me is disrespectful. Because at the end of the day it's about the bride and groom.
So that actually happens.
That actually happens.
Wow.
And or I have some, like I had one time he came dressed in a t-shirt. Like how?
What kind of party was it?
It was a wedding.
A wedding?
Yeah, it was a wedding.
Oh, wow.
But he came in a t-shirt, and I'm like, why? Like,
now, did you hire this DJ?
No, the bride and groom brought him.
Well, then that's not your experience.
Yeah, it's not my. But at the same time, I'm thinking like it's gonna reflect, because people don't know if the bride hired him or the venue hired him.
They think everybody's part of the
package, and they don't know. So whatever, whoever comes, and that's one of the things that I understand when venues say they have their preferred vendors. Yeah, that is why.
That's why.
Because at the end of the day, it's going to come back and it's going to reflect the
People
venue.
Are gonna think it's the DJ. Whether the venue hired him or not,
it still falls back on them.
Somehow.
You like it or not. So or the planner did it.
Dressing inappropriately, would we classify that as one experience? What would be another bad experience?
Their way of talking. Just the way that they're... Because I know from... experience, there's DJs that they're really good MCs, that they know what they're saying, they know how to address situations, and then there's some that you're just like there's some that just like straight out cut like somebody it's just
cut a name
or call the bride a different name.
What about like over the microphone commentary? Have you heard any bad over the mic, like making fun of somebody, a guest, or
not necessarily making fun of a guest, but making comments, like
comments
when they're dancing, when they're trying to be funny, like they try too hard, but they can't. I'm like, okay.
Wow. So bad music, bad dressing, and then bad MCs.
Bad
Mm-hmm.
Oh Lord.
Wow.
I think that would
bad
be
reputation.
I mean, do you need more than that?
Well, I have a question though.
Okay.
So, when you are coordinating an event, and then let's see, you have to do your timeline and all that good stuff. So, when you approach to the DJ and the DJ don't want to cooperate, have you had that experience before?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
I've had that and I think it just comes. It has to be both ways. As a coordinator, you can't give up. It's your job to take over that event. That's what you were hired to do. So he likes it or not, he's going to do what you want. You know, not in a sense where he has to obey by all your rules. No,
right.
But you have to let it be known that there is things that were talked about, that were discussed with the client, and if that's what the client wants, that's your job. You have to stand up for them, because at that point you can't go and run like my job. I can't run back and tell the bride's just gonna freak out.
Exactly.
So I have to take it upon myself to make sure this happens. And I've had run-ins like that. But I think I'm very open-minded. I give them the benefit of the doubt, and then I explain to them my reasons of why I'm doing what I'm doing.
You can't get confrontational. You gotta be.
Yeah, you have to be very specific.
Like give and go type of thing. Like, hey, let's try this, or right. There's got to be a certain, because they're pretty much telling you they're hard-headed, right?
Yeah, they're pretty much telling me that they're not going to listen to what I'm telling them. But when I give them my reasons and I give them exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing, I think that's when it opens up for them to be a little bit more, their corporate like help more.
Now, on this situation, when the DJ is not going through your company, but it's hired by the bride and groom or the venue, do you communicate with them before?
Oh yes.
Send them the timeline and what's going to happen and stuff like that.
I think the introduction is the best way to get familiar with that person. Introducing yourself and letting them know that you're there to work together for this client, because that's what it comes down to. Because you're gonna, as much as he needs you, you need him. It's a team effort. So you have to make sure that you make them feel welcoming. You have to make sure that I know there's people that are not that upcoming or like to do certain things like that, but I think that that's very important, because if the DJ hasn't heard from you and all of a sudden you're telling him what to do that day of the event, he's gonna look at you like, who, excuse me, and you are like, and that's what I would do if somebody just comes up to me.
Who are you? I
like,
never met you.
Bye, Felicia.
It's like
you didn't pay me. Like,
that's probably, you get that a lot, right?
Yeah.
Well, what about guests that are like that come up and try to take over, especially with you being the wedding planner, and say, hey, that can't go there, and you've never met that person. You've dealt with the bride and groom, probably met the mom most of the time. Most of the time you met the bride's mom, sometimes
the parents. You meet them,
and then you get this tia or friend of the bride that comes up and all of a sudden wants to take over. What happens then?
I've told people.
Yeah, you told them.
Yeah,
I'll take care of it.
I'll take care of it. Don't worry. I know where it goes.
Yeah.
Not in a rude way, of course. You have to be very polite.
That is correct.
Especially when it comes down to people that don't.
Because you don't know who that person is.
Yeah,
it could be la abuela or la.
It could be the mom of the groom. You never know. Like you don't know who.
You met the stepmom, but you didn't meet the mom.
You didn't meet the mom,
and she wants to.
And that's a whole other concept too. You open a whole nother can of worms right there. But it happens, and you just have to be polite, and you have to. I think that the way you present yourself, not only does it, I think it says more about you than the actual person. Despite of what their attitude is, despite how mad they are, or might not agree with certain things, or might not even like the whole color concept, or even if they're getting married, you have to be open to giving them a chance and letting them know. Why are you doing it?
Right.
What are your reasons? Why exactly are you doing that? I mean, I've told people if they could please get up from a reserve table, because
that's a hard one, right?
That's a hard one. But at the end of the day, I have to ask them, like, I'm sorry.
Because if you wait for it, then the table gets full and they don't have a place.
And they don't have a place. There was one situation where it was somebody's aunt. Like, she wasn't even like close family members. She was like a faraway aunt, but she knew everybody.
That's probably the hardest.
So she was the first one there. She sat herself there. I remember this was funny because she put her handbags.
Yeah.
She put like bags on all the chairs to say,
chairs.
but it's like a big old sign that says reserved for the family of the bride. Like it's a sign. So then I had to ask her. I told her, "Oh, I'm sorry. Are you here with?" I knew the bride's mom name, so I asked her, "Did she come with it?" She's like, "Oh no, I'm not even, with them. I'm with so and so." I'm like, "And they are?" And they had nothing. So then at that point, I told her, "I'm sorry, but if you wouldn't mind, this is the table reserved for them because whenever they get up for toast and things, I explained it to them in a different way." And she got up. She wasn't that happy about it, but she did get up.
She had to get up.
No.
She had no choice at that point.
So it brings me to an interesting question. So now that you say reserved tables, because the situation a lot of the times is as Hispanics, Latinos, we're not used to that. So, and then the other thing would be the centerpieces. Right?
I think people are getting better at it though.
Yeah, but it meant like 5 years ago,
my gosh.
They're walking out of the centerpiece. Somebody has to stop them and say, "Hey, that's a rental."
Yeah, even when you tell them, they'll still walk away with it.
Wow.
I mean, you have people trying to walk away big old centerpieces.
And I usually see it, and I'm like, "Do I want to be the bad person here?"
Over the microphone. Like,
but you know what? Now that y'all saying that, I had an experience like that. The mom of the quinceañera came to me and said, like, "Can you tell the people that the centerpieces belong to the venue?" I'm like, "Are you serious? You're gonna put me on the spot?"
I think at that point you should have like put a sign or something,
right?
Or something on the invitations, And then people wanted to start
beautiful flower arrangement and vase and like,
like,
look good next to my TV
in my sala.
They have a place in mind already.
In my dinner set, I'm like,
or you'll have those people that you get there and they already moved it. It's not even in the center of the table. It's on the side.
That lady was sitting down. I thought you were gonna say she already moved the center.
Well, you know what? The last weekend, so it looked like it was like a huge thing right in the middle of the round table. So guess what? One of the guests took it off because I guess it was took it up and put it on the floor.
It was bothering them.
It was bothering them.
Like I can't see
like,
just move
oh my god!
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, so I went to talk to the manager of the venue. Hey, look, these centerpiece is on the floor. I don't want someone to kick it because it was glass with water, and you know those centerpieces that people put water on.
That actually happened to me at another wedding. This was like a year ago or so.
Something like that.
Here we go.
But it wasn't even a guest. It was a photographer. It was a photographer. Yes, but he wasn't even the photographer. But he's one of those photographers that just takes pictures during the event and then comes and sells them. Have you seen those?
Yeah. No, that's the first time.
No, really?
I'll kick him out.
It was back then, back then.
Oh, back
there's
back.
videos that still allow it. So
really,
he was moving like the centerpiece. I was like, dude, we're doing like all this other stuff, and you're moving centerpieces, like to get pictures. People weren't asking for these pictures. He just wanted.
So one time I was asked to move a vase, a water full of water, right? And I guess you gotta grab it a certain way. And when I grabbed it, I guess I grabbed it from the wrong place, the middle, and it just water everywhere.
Man,
oh my god!
What the heck? So you gotta know how to handle them too. You can't
you just can't move things.
It was like a real thin glass.
And I mean, there's some tricks that we have to do for things to stay up there.
Yeah, I wonder sometimes how the heck is that thing.
Yeah, so if you move it a certain way or you grab it, it's you can knock somebody out. Like, you just have to be careful.
Centerpieces are huge.
They're huge, so you have to be very careful.
See, that's why I don't mess with those things myself. I don't know.
Yeah.
So Andrew Villalobos again. He's back when we were talking about wedding planners coming up. He says some wedding planners are pushy as hell. He said not all wedding planners, but most I've encountered. I would say there are some planners that are pushy. Not all of them are as nice as you.
Yeah. I mean, I've met some.
You've encountered some bad DJs. We've encountered some pretty bad.
I'm sure it goes.
It goes both ways.
It goes both ways.
But I think it comes back to the introducing yourself and letting them know communication, letting them know who you are.
Yeah.
Because I've even met, because sometimes I don't coordinate the events.
Yeah.
I just go and set up.
Okay.
And I've encountered them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my experience to know what at the back of my mind, I've met people and I know what I'm doing, that I'm more assertive and I'm I feel more secure, as in to let them know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and I've encountered them too. So
what I notice is that usually when that happens, and I don't want to say this the wrong way, but there's like a battle for who's number one, the planner or the DJ, and who's running it. Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I've seen it happen.
Some planners, they have the cocky attitude, and then if they get with a DJ that has the cocky attitude, then who's gonna win?
Yeah,
it's
like it's
no,
a whole battle.
To the bride, and it's gotta be this way. But I'm the wedding planner, and this is how I planned it. But I just talked to the bride 2 days ago, and this is how she wanted it. Oh my God, I've seen that happen.
That is crazy.
That is crazy. And at the end of the day, the one that loses is the bride, because you said as a planner, you don't want her to find out you want to take care of everything that's going on between vendors.
Correct.
Without, getting your feelings hurt, without it getting back to the bride. And then, whatever happened, whatever you guys decide, just don't let it get back to her. So
I think for DJs, I think my suggestion would be make sure that if there's anything that you did talk to the client about, make sure you send it to, if they do have a wedding planner, make sure you send it to them beforehand.
That's something
that way you can, you can say, I mean, I also have that email, going back and forth saying, okay, I told you about this. We talked about this. So for sure that they knew all along what you were planning to do.
There are some things as DJs that we have to do. For example, one of the examples that I've seen is like the first dance usually comes in first, right? And they're brides and grooms that want to do it third. So they want to dance with the dad
mom
and the mom. And then they want to do their first dance, maybe because they got a mix. And but I've had one planner that didn't want to do it that way, even though I told her, hey, but the bride did it this way. And I did forget to send her the update, and I thought they would have told the planner, but apparently they didn't. So she's like, no, the first dance has to go first. It's like, no, that's not what they want.
Yeah.
So eventually she went to go talk to the bride, and then, I didn't hear from her, but, that was because that was one of the planners that are kind of hard to work with. So the reason was because they had a mix. And they wanted people to join them after the mix, because I think it ended with like a wapango.
Oh, okay.
So they wanted to keep going with wapangos and invite people to dance. So there was a purpose to it. It wasn't just that I was being hard-headed.
You're being one of those DJs.
Yeah, I was being... that's what it looked like, right? All right, so ask your question.
And you know what? I think that adding that to the questionnaire will be a good idea. Do you have an event planner for your event?
Oh yeah, I always ask. I have to ask because if they don't have a wedding planner, I do a lot of the planning. Okay. I do a lot of the planning, like most of the not the planning. I want to say the entertainment planning,
like so the timeline, order of events,
the
timeline, exactly.
So. I always ask, hey, are you working with a planner? Because if they are working with a planner, then I just, even though they're working with a planner, I give suggestions because I still need to know what songs for the first dance, bouquet toss, garter toss, and all that stuff. So I always ask them, and then there are venues that don't plan anything.
And as a planner, you have to think about it. We're not just worried about the DJ. We're worrying about all these different things. Yeah. And I think that maybe that's where things get a little out of hand, where some planners might feel like they have to be assertive with every single aspect of the event, as far as everything that goes, because you have to worry about when the food's coming out, when we're cutting the cake, when we're doing this, what pictures are we taking, what shots the bride and groom wanted to have. So there's so much that goes into it that maybe egos do get crossed around
they do that.
Around there. But I think that you have to communicate. I think that's the only way for you to have it. Me personally, I like knowing what the DJ is going to do, and if that DJ has a certain style or something that the bride, because the DJ might have suggested something to the bride and the groom that I've never done, and I'm willing to be open to that suggestion. So I think in that way, when you're ready for it and you both communicated, once you get there, then you both know what your job is. So to me, when I'm working with a DJ that I've known, Frank knows me. Like, I let him do whatever. Not whatever, because sometimes like, Frank, calm down. But I do have that trust in him, or I have other DJs that I do as well, that I let them do what they're good at, because that is their job. I'm not going to tell you what you need to do, because you've done this for many years. My job is to take care of everything else. Okay. Yeah. You should be one of my less things to worry about.
And here I thought you didn't care about me.
No. No,
we have another question from Mike. As a wedding planner, are your rates higher during the holidays?
It just depends of how busy it is. I have a standard price of what I charge. Honestly, I do think that if it's going to be like Christmas, there is a fee for that. But if it's before the holidays, like let's say 2 weeks before Christmas or something like that, then no, I don't charge. It has to be, it has to affect that particular day for me to consider it. The reason why, it's because there's so much business for everybody that I feel like it's, if you charge more than what you're actually going to do, then what is the point of charging more? You know, even though yes, of course I would love to make more money, but I feel like provide value for I want to provide the value for what I'm doing. I don't want to be known as, oh, she's just so expensive, I can't afford her. Because I've had clients to come to me like based on my Instagram. I had the client that I just had past weekend, it took her 3 months to reach out to me because she thought I was too expensive for her.
Oh, she thought she had. So that's another thing.
That's another thing. I was like, why? You should have just, you know, just in my thought, right? just ask. Right. But yeah, she told me, and I couldn't believe it. Which it's like a compliment because when somebody sees your work at that level, you're doing something right. Something's working. Yeah. But then at the same time, you don't want to miss out on giving the opportunity to somebody that's willing to work with, because that wedding, I kid you not, I had the funnest time, even though I was sweating. I was rushing. Things were not as planned. It was total chaos. But at the end of the day, when the bride walked in, and she walked in with the banda. Okay. So that was pretty cool. And, you know, she looked beautiful. She looked stunning. She did not look stressed. That was my main goal. And at the end of the day, that was worth it to me. Yeah. You know? Sure. So it was fun, I guess.
Wow, walked in with the banda, huh?
Yeah, she went all out. You should have seen that stage. It was huge.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think, so you don't get, I think the reason he's asking is because us as DJs, we get a lot more work in December.
Oh, okay.
And then, so we do have to raise our rates a little bit just because there's more demand. Okay. So I guess you don't get a lot of corporate events right now.
No, not right now.
Well, I mean, would there be a need for a planner?
I think so. Yeah, you do. I mean,
there's a lot of stuff going on.
There's a lot of stuff going on, definitely. When it's a corporate event, I think there's more going on. There's more of a professionalism that you have to keep. So it's more important, because when it's a corporate event, you're talking about these big companies. So these companies, that's one of the things that they look at. They look at what their services they're going to get and the quality that they're going to receive. So I think in that situation, I completely understand. Yeah. Because you're going to do extra things than you do for an actual wedding, because weddings, we do them every week. It's more challenging because you're talking about people that might not be used to certain services.
Not everybody goes to a corporate event to party. They go because it's like they have to go, sort of like, you know. Yeah. And it could be people that really don't like going out, and they just got to do it just to please the company, the owner, and then just to show up. And
it's true.
They have to do it.
So it's not as laid back, because you have that,
right, there's that, and then there's the bosses there, so they have to act a certain way. They don't dance as much sometimes they do, sometimes they party, but some companies are like that, and so it's a different experience.
Yeah, and in that case, I completely understand, because it's a whole different, it's a different concept, even though weddings we're so used to them, and we're doing basically the same thing. Yeah. But for corporate events, a whole different thing. Like you're doing, you have to think about it. Like their speeches, who you're actually talking to, who are these people? You need to rent certain items. That all comes into play when it comes to raising your prices. So I definitely agree on that. And I hadn't thought about it. Maybe if I do get into corporate events, I would have to raise my prices.
Oh, you'll get there. I'm pretty sure.
I hope so.
So Mike has another question here. It says, do you do international events or different cultural events?
I have done different culture events. I've done an Indian wedding. That was my main goal, to do an Indian wedding.
They're fun, right?
They're fun. They're very fun. But it's a lot of details. It's a lot of details that they put into it. I think I've done there was another bride. She was from here, but he was from. Oh, I can't remember the place. He was from out of sea, so they had a different tradition. So the way that we did things had to be based on his traditions. Wow. So when guests walk in, you have to welcome them with champagne. They have to toast together. They have to break bread. There's so many little details that they have to do, and I love that. It's just something different. Yeah. So I'm very open to doing all that. International, no, not one day. I'll definitely do an international event. But I mean, right now the farthest thing that I've done is going to New York and doing this event. And
so you've never done a Vietnamese wedding?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay.
I did.
Those are different. Huh?
Those are different. Yeah, I did one.
All the toasting and all the.
And the toasting, and they do this dance, and it's different. Yeah. I think everybody's weddings are different. Everybody has a
pretty
different,
much. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen some that like they do the jump of the broom. So every culture is different. As much as even Hispanics, we have different traditions within Hispanic community. So it's different.
So have you ever gotten to a bride and groom and said, even like certain questions that come up, like, are you doing even if they're both Mexican, are you doing la víbora de la mar? And one of them are looking at you like, what is that? And the other one's like, you don't know what that is?
Yeah, I've seen that. It's so funny. Because some people are not so attached to their roots, to their cultural roots, so they lose track of sense, or they lose track of...
They've never seen it in their family.
They've never seen it.
Probably gone to 20 weddings and never seen it.
Or they don't pay attention to it, or they're more important.
No, but they're like, even when you explain it, it's when the bride and groom get on the chair and you go through and like, I've never seen that in my life.
Yeah, it depends.
There's another thing that I noticed a while back is there's a difference between, I want to say Mexican because I don't know the Salvadorian and Guatemala cultures, but the reason I say Mexican is because I'm Mexican. But the Mexican weddings and the American weddings, and you're sitting there, and the bride she has her idea. Let's say she's the Mexican one. Mm-hmm. To where they're gonna walk, people are gonna get there, they have dinner, and then they do the presentation where the groom's like, what?
No, they do the presentation in the middle.
Because the traditional Mexican way is you get there, you eat, and then you do the presentation. Mm-hmm. And the traditional American way is the grand introduction, the blessing, and then the food, and then the dancing, that could be before. And I've had one bride stick to her guns, like, no, we're not doing that. We're doing the introductions after dinner, and it was a pretty upscale event.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it comes down to, it's your wedding, it's your event. It doesn't matter traditions. You're creating your new traditions. True. So
and that's what I say. There really is no tradition.
And how did traditions get started? Yeah. Somebody had to start them somehow.
Somebody had the idea, and
everybody just followed. Everybody followed the leaders. So So that's what I tell clients all the time. And I've had a couple that I'm like, I don't think they're gonna make it. Like they were every appointment, and then it was funny, right? Because one was Cowboys fan and the other was a Raiders fan. Oh, so every appointment was like a battle of colors, a battle of this, and I can't have that blue and she can't have that black. It was like a whole thing. And
oh my God.
One day I even called my boss. I'm like, you know what? I don't think they're gonna make it because they're over here fighting.
If they're fighting over teams,
Yeah, but even at that, even the entrances and stuff like that, they didn't. He wanted one way because he's Hispanic. Oh, she wanted her way because she was American.
So did they actually fight in front of you?
Yeah, they did. I was very nervous at that point. I was like, I don't know what to do. So
you can't really interject, right?
So at the end, I was like, you know what? We
planner,
just I have to be there.
You have to be.
So I sat down with them. I was like, okay, let's talk about this. Let's write down our ideas and then let's bring them together and somehow do this mesh of two cultures come together.
I've had them in 3 or 4 occasions. They're fighting in front of me. I'm just looking. I'm like, what the hell do I do here?
Which way do I go?
And sometimes it's not even about them, but sometimes it's the parents.
It's the family.
The family wants to do certain things, and you're just like, okay.
You gotta ask them, what do you guys want to do? Well, and then that's when they're
I had
but it's kind of hard for some people to go against their parents.
Yeah, it is, but you have to think about it. Like, it's your wedding at the end of the day. Is it gonna make you happy? Now, if you know that you want it, but you're gonna feel some type of way not making your parents happy, then where's the happening?
That happened, right, Hedman? Mm-hmm. So we had and I don't want to go too much into detail because it ended up really good.
Yes.
But the mom was paying for everything. and the bride was, she was getting married because she was pregnant. So one of the songs that came up was a very questionable song, but it's a song that's always been played at weddings for all I can remember. And the mom was learning. She knew Spanish, English, but her main language was Spanish. So she actually listened to the words of the song, and she's like, "Oh my God, I cannot have this at my wedding." But the bride wanted it. So we were stuck in a situation of what do we do? It's like, look, man, I told G-Man, we discussed it, and like, I think we have to go with the mom because she's the one paying, and she's the one that, because she made a big deal about it. Families there, they're church going, they're very religious, and that's not what. But the bride wanted it, so we were put in a very hard spot, and I was like, play happy from
it was happy. We had to do happy
because we didn't want.
And that was gonna be for the gutter
removal. So the song they had was "Pony" by Xiami. So it's like a it's a song.
But
it's something that an idea that we came up with.
Actual words and pay attention detail by detail. Like
she did her homework.
I mean, it does come. Sometimes it does come into play. Who is paying?
Yeah, it does.
And you have to, at that point, you have to be very careful of what line you cross, because just as you can make a parent unhappy, you can make that bride unhappy, even if the parents are paying for it, because the parents might be comprehensive and the parents might be, because this happened to me where the parents' bride were paying for everything. I had to do a little bit of both, but at the end of the day, the bride still wasn't happy, and she did what she wanted to do, and at the end she still wrote that review, even though it had nothing to do with us. It had to do with her battle with her parents. And that's where you kind of just don't know what to do. It's hard. It's a tough situation.
You can't please everybody, and in that situation you just
can't.
By the time you find out, it's too late. You gotta figure out a way and try to resolve it.
Pretty much
the best way you can. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
You can't win them all.
No.
It's
you can't. It's a tough one.
It's a tough one. All right, so let's we're almost time. We're actually over time, but go ahead and give your goodbye speech, plug yourself out, and where can they find you? How can they find you? What's the best way to reach you?
So on Instagram, you can find me under Evangeline Designs, and then Facebook is Evangeline Events. And then my email is info@evangelineeventdesigns.com, and my phone number is 832-805-4545. If you have any questions, anything you need, if I don't have it, I'll definitely know somebody that will. But if you look at my Instagram, you have any inspiration, have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.
So you do decor,
planning.
What do you call it? The creating the vision or the
event design.
And then you do other little things, don't you? You have you get what other thing you do? T-shirts? You do?
No, I don't do that anymore.
You don't do that? Okay.
I was like, that was like
too much going on.
That's too much. I started that as like my crafting. It was just like I would craft.
But you did. I saw some of your designs. Those were really nice.
Yeah, that's when I started getting more creative, and then I'm like, okay, I want to do more stuff, bigger scale, and now I'm doing big things.
Oh, thank you for being here, Evie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was so fun.
We have wasted your hour.
No, no, actually,
you being here.
You touched some good points, so I'm definitely gonna think about it.
Too. You made us think, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the DJs got some ideas that they didn't realize, and hopefully they get to learn to network. So
sounds good. Well, thank you for having me.
No problem.
Bye.
Thank you.
You guys have a good day. We'll see you next Thursday at 11 o'clock.
Sharp. G-Man.